Obviously, the Cowboys are right in it. They're getting their guy back. And I know Cooper Rush has been awesome. He's gone out there. He's only lost one game as a starter, kept his team afloat. When Dak first went down, everybody was like, the Cowboys are done. They looked bad in the first game versus Tampa Bay. Now they're losing their starting quarterback, but he's returning. We saw him warming up before that Eagles game. He's throwing the ball. He's doing the things necessary. Like Ian just said, this week, he'll throw the ball today, Wednesday. He'll have a full week of practice, and assuming everything goes right, he will be back out there. He's a franchise guy, and when you have somebody like him return, I think it just heightens and it brings everybody's level up in the locker room. I think even more than that, everything that has gone on surrounding Dak and then the play of Cooper Rush. We saw last week Ezekiel Elliott was asked about Dak's return, and he had a lot of things to say, and we would sit there like, I don't really understand what he said. There's an F-bomb in there he drops. We obviously...
Disrespectful.
Said it was disrespectful to question whether Dak Prescott is going to be their quarterback. Everybody's always talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and I think that just goes to show what their locker room is about and how they feel about Dak. Obviously, Cooper Rush has been there. They've loved the way he's played. He's picked the team up. He's gotten things going. And I think he's helped them figure out who they are and their identity as a team. Now you plug Dak Prescott into that situation. They're still going to be running the ball, still going to be Elliott, Pollard, but now Dak can go on there and get the ball to Gallup, to CeeDee Lamb, to Noah Brown, who has taken off with Cooper Rush as a quarterback. So I think getting Dak back, they have their guy. They're going to be fired up, and they have a chance to win this division.
I think Jason's spot on with this, and you've been really speaking some real truths this morning, both on the Patriots thing and now on the Cowboys, and that I think they kind of found themselves when Dak went down, and it was like a look in the mirror, like, what are we going to do? Everyone's writing us off, including our show, said, hey, they're not going to be able to stay afloat without Dak. He's their best player. And then the offensive line, like, shored itself up. You know, you lose, obviously, Tyron Smith and Dak Prescott. You're not expecting this team to get better on offense, and they did. And now Dak comes back, and it's like we kind of established what we are under Cooper Rush. It's Cooper didn't throw for 400 yards every game. He made the right plays. He wasn't hurting us until the Eagles game where he threw 3 picks. But, like, this is what's going to get the Cowboys advancing throughout this season. Hand the ball off, play action, play smart. Don't worry about the salaries. Don't worry how much Dak is making. Dak doesn't have to go and play like he's Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Dak has to just be the best Dak Prescott he can be. The defense is fantastic. The offensive line is shored up, and now you get Gallup back in the mix, and Noah Brown is playing better. Like, look, I think Dak is a significant upgrade from Cooper Rush, and this team kind of discovered who they were. I don't think it's one of these, whoa, it's weird, Dak is under center. I think he slides right in, and it's like, oh, no, Dak, we've got an identity. You're better than the other guy? Like, let's just play better football and let's keep on rolling. I think it's a good thing. I don't think Dak rocks the boat at all, and I certainly don't think they're going to take a step back because their franchise quarterback is now suddenly in the lineup.
But I worry about what you're worried about. It's not taking a step back. It's stepping on the accelerator.
Doing too much.
Showtime. Let's go. Let's let Dak cook. Let's light it up. CD up and down the field. Be careful on that, because with that will come turnovers and interceptions, and that is taking the ball out of Micah Parsons' hand, and he's the best player on the team. Like, you can't mess that up. And also, even if they do come back and it's steady and it's efficient, the Eagles got to lose some games here. Like, that's great, and the Cowboys can be the best Cowboys they can be. If the Eagles don't start losing some games, they're just going to take this thing. We are a not a check the schedules type team. This league is so tight this year. There's only a handful of teams, a very small handful of teams that wouldn't even be in the hunt category, you know? The Eagles pretty much play them all. They're going to play the Texans. They're going to play the Commanders again. They're going to play the Bears. Like, the Eagles are going to stack a lot of wins. They play the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. It's in Jerry World. It's obviously a really big game, but, you know, we all do these, podcast appearances or radio. Oh, and there it is. There's the entire schedule. These podcast appearances, radio appearances.
Vertical or horizontal? I can't even follow.
Diagonal.
Just blur your eyes.
Logos.
I was asked yesterday, like, do you think the Eagles have a shot to go 17-0? And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, I would love it, especially on the 50th anniversary of the 72 Miami Dolphins, so they can choke on their champagne. But I have a lot of problems with those guys. We'll get to them later. But as far as the Eagles, no, they're not going to go undefeated. But, like, don't you look at the Eagles and be like, I think they might be like 15-2 or something crazy, at which point, good for the Cowboys, Dak's back and everything, but the Eagles are just too good.
You mentioned Christmas Eve. The Cowboys are hosting the Eagles. So on Thanksgiving, usually about 40 million people watch NFL games. It's a fantastic viewership on that special day. Giants are at the Cowboys for that game. Christmas Eve, as Kyle just mentioned, Eagles are at the Cowboys. That's about 30 million. I think you just add like 5 to 10 million for the. Right, both of those games are at home for the Cowboys. I think Dak Prescott returning totally creates this like earthquake that is just starting to rumble. Like Cooper Rush was the beginning of the tectonic plates just starting to shift over each other, and then Thanksgiving is going to come, and we're all just going to be like a glutton for everything that is like turkey legs, for example, which is an image we always love seeing from the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, here we go. Let's go into the flashback footage, because any Dallas Cowboy eating a turkey leg on Thanksgiving is a sight for sore eyes. Oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful sight. This is what we get. This is a gift. Again, to review, Giants at Cowboys. Look at Jason Garrett. Take a bite. Do it. Do it. Get in there. Nice. This is a gift. Giants at Cowboys. And then to fast forward, 'tis the season of giving. Eagles at Cowboys. I'm sorry, but these games, you know, the Eagles could end up 16-2 or 15-2 for all that matter because of those two games. I mean, they would still be awesome. But I think this return and what the Cowboys have learned about themselves could create these gifts of games that we get later in the season.
No one thought the NFC East would be the juggernaut division. And yet the NFL schedule makers gave us this gem on Thanksgiving, this gem on Christmas Eve. Mike North and the boys up there, and obviously all the crew that makes that very interesting. Very interesting.
Good job.
When are we as a show going to have the Mike McCarthy conversation? Like, when is that going to come up?
He hasn't done anything to deserve a Mike McCarthy.
Good or bad.
We got Brian Daboll is coming. Nick Sirianni is becoming a star. When is Mike McCarthy going to plant his flag this season and have his game or his moment in a positive or negative
See, I was thinking on the negative.
Well, yeah, sure.
He's going to hold them back from being
he
this
might.
great team.
I'm trying to stay positive because they've been playing good football.
Why does it have to be that way? Why can't he just
years
like cruise?
Of experience.
Yeah, all right.
Years.
Fine.
At some point, Mike McCarthy is going to enter the chat, and I don't know if that's bad or good, but there's been some ones that aren't great.
Is it hard to enter the chat because of who Jerry Jones is as the head coach of the Cowboys? Like, is it almost better to fly under the radar? We're winning games. We're winning games. Yeah. If I do enter the chat, it's usually because we watch Dak scramble against the 49ers. They don't like it's chaos usually if I'm entering the chat.
Like
if everything's going,
and all that,
if everything's going well, Jerry's in front. He's doing all the talking. I get to kind of just chill. Got my job. Like, soon as it's just when the coach enters the chat, even I remember we played them in 2019 in New England. We beat them and the game's rained out. Like, it's just a sloppy football game. And Jerry Jones does a press conference after the game talking about Jason Garrett and his job security. It's almost like, as the head coach, if they're not talking about me, it's usually because Jerry's not questioning my job security.
I haven't heard Sean Payton's name brought up once this season.
It hasn't, because all we're talking about is Cooper Rush.
Yeah, that's true.
Cooper Rush.
That's true.
But in the preseason, it was Sean Payton. Yeah. Now that Dak's back, now you got your full deck. Now you got to coach him up. Like, there's some pressure on McCarthy.
Interesting.
Has to be successful.